Okay then, so this is about being a flat earther. I think that came about 3 years ago. And I watched a video, and I put the link below, by allegedly Dave Murphy. And I watched the interview. And afterwards I was just like, yeah, of course the earth is flat. It makes total sense to me. And I just switched like that, and it's just not a problem. And one of the reasons is because I want to know about the truth, about where we're living and how the universe is constructed and that sort of thing. And the other side of it is kind of weird, because it doesn't really matter too much for me whether the earth is a sphere or it's flat, because we still have the same problems in our day-to-day life. We've still got to get on with day-to-day life. But I'm very happy that the earth is flat. And there's some really funny videos on YouTube where what they're trying to do is find the curvature of the earth, and they can't find it. So there's a mathematical formula, you can look it up, I don't have it here I'm afraid, where if you measure, I think it's 8 miles along, you should see X amount of curvature, and it just doesn't exist. They can't find it. So I find it really fascinating, very it really asks a lot of questions, doesn't it? So if the earth is flat, what's going on? Why are we saying it's a sphere? Did we just look up in the sky and say, oh, well, the sun's a sphere, we can see the planets, they're spheres, so we're a sphere? Does it mean that we haven't been into outer space? Does it mean that NASA is a complete lie? And I've watched loads of conspiracy theories on NASA, but there's some, you really got to just go, well, look, it's right in front of us. And where they're sort of doing these interviews from outer space, and they've got zero gravity and all this sort of thing, and then there's drips coming down behind people and things like that. Well, you can't have drips in zero gravity. So we know those interviews are fake. Does it mean that they haven't traveled into space? Well, it kind of appears not. And then we have to say, but why are we keeping this information to ourselves? Or why are certain people keeping this information to ourselves? And then it sort of questions, who do we rely on to give us the information about where we are and what's happening? And then when we've got these images of the earth spinning through space, and then the planets sort of spinning around the earth and things like that, apparently it's all rubbish. So where are the scientists getting the information? Why is this stuff going out? Because some people have studied the star system, and we can't possibly be doing this through space. So I find that just fascinating. And how are we getting it so wrong? And why is it that, I can't remember the guy's name, he's a black guy, and I can't remember his name, he's a scientist, and he's been requested by flat earthers to turn a satellite round, show us the sphere, and the argument's over, but he won't do it. Why not? And apparently the animation of the earth is a fake animation, and it's used consistently throughout everything, because people have studied the cloud formations and things like that. So I just find that fascinating. So what truly is going on? So the other thing is that there's a guy called Martin Kenny, and he's amazing, and he is a flat earther, but he's got a kind of a different viewpoint, because he was just a normal geezer that sort of came into awakening, and he just got this massive downloads and information sort of come to him about that we were in a sort of cosmic egg. So not only are we on a flat earth, but it's actually got a dome over it, and it's kind of like when you see the rainbow, that is showing you the dome. It's like the light is shining in on the dome, things like that. And that's been written in ancient manuscripts for a long time. And he's saying not only is the earth flat, but we've got outside of the North and South Pole, which would actually be the perimeter, not top and bottom, but the perimeter of the flat earth, there's actually masses of landmass. And then you start going, well, if there's masses of landmass, like, what's the land like, and who's there, and what's the vegetation, and what's the atmosphere like, and all these sort of things. Incredible. And I love these type of truths, if you want to call them, or these challenges, because they excite me, they excite my imagination, they make me feel more at home with who I am, and I love that what we believe we've been born into isn't true. I don't love that it isn't true, but it excites me that it's not what we perceive it to be, and it's so much more going on. And because I've been awakening for the last 15 years or whatever, I've just come across the bizarre. And it's like better than a movie, it's like better than a book. And it's incredible. And the thing is about flat earth is that those people that suddenly realize that the earth is flat, it must be, then suddenly it just brings so many questions into their lives, and their lives can radically change. They can become anti-establishment, they can suddenly become vegetarian or vegan. It's like they reach a new level of spirituality or self-development, or they want to change their 9 to 5, or they want to delve into other areas, and they start getting a whole different perspective on life. And and it just says, who are we allowing to tell us what our reality is? And why do we just accept it? So if the earth is a sphere and it's proven, fine. But at the moment, it's definitely flat for me. And not that I need to enforce it onto people. So Martin Kenny, so he's had a really interesting life. I think he came into spiritual awakening because, I can't remember, I think maybe he got redundant or he became ill, something like that. And that's one of maybe the first steps that can happen to you, is that you lose your job or you become ill as you start to awaken. So what does awaken mean? It means that you start to get information coming to you either through the people that you meet or through books or any sort of media, basically. Or sometimes you just get a knowing or an understanding, and it starts to say to you, the world isn't constructed as you think it is. Relationships aren't what society has told you it is. Your body doesn't operate the way that doctors have told you it does. And then you see the injustices in the world, and then you see all the fear-mongering that goes on, and then you actually see how difficult it is to live in the world. So prior to spiritual awakening, I didn't actually feel that life was particularly difficult. And then when you actually see through it, you're just like, oh my God, are we crazy? And also very interesting, because the flat earth sort of says a very small amount of people are controlling a huge number of people. So it's that sort of thing. So you start to think, whether it's your boss controlling the employees, or an organization control employees, or I don't know, the police force or the government controlling bigger masses of people. It's just multiple levels of control. So yes, I'm very, very excited about concepts like the flat earth and stuff like that. And as I said, it was an easy switch, but you can lose friends over it, who think you're totally bonkers. But then if you ask them, if you challenge them to find the evidence that it's an actual sphere, We can't find the evidence, because the thing is that we're too small, and we have to leave the planet to actually see what we're standing on, and there's only a few very privileged people that can do that. And what I love about the flat earthers, they say very basic, simple things. Sometimes they sort of say, well, can an aircraft fly upside down? So, we sort of assume in the UK that we're the right way up and Australia is underneath, which is, not the case. But, you just ask a simple question. Can aircrafts fly upside down? Well, of course they can't. But we're sort of saying, well, we're going to take off and then we're going to go around the curve of the earth and land upside down. So people say, well, that's just gravity. And they say, okay, well, then they say, well, how come it can hold tons and tons of metal and stuff like that, gravity, yet I can jump up and down, or I can let a balloon in the air and it floats away? How is that possible? And how is it that I can't feel gravity? How is that possible? And they show you the moon and the sun, how they actually rotate, because we feel it's going, we feel like, I can't remember, but we feel like we're turning, we're turning, and they're sort of static, I think, or slightly static, sort of like this. And they actually show you on a flat earth how the sun and moon operate, and you're just like, oh yeah. And then there's other people that have fired rockets off into the atmosphere, and they only go so far, and then they seem to hit something, which is this other theory about the invisible dome over the earth. Fantastic stuff. So I'll put some links below for you. So and see if you get challenged. And a lot of people, you tell them this, they shut down. They shut down. And you have to question, don't you? Why would people shut down? Why? Why would they shut down? What is it that they can't accept? What is it, what is it going to unfold for them? Interesting. So we're certainly in an era of where we're challenging everything, aren't we? The earth is flat. The moon is a space station. We're going to be living through AI, probably, not me. How to carve out the perfect life, how to have the perfect body. The health system isn't working. We're challenging about the foods that we eat. We're challenging what the body can do. We're challenging the education systems. We know that the criminal system, justice system doesn't work. We know there's corruption and injustice everywhere. And the flat earth dovetails into that. You can't be a flat earther and sort of ignore all the different ramifications. And this is why people's lives change after they realise the earth is flat. I'm happy. If you want to show me, prove me it's a curve, I'm cool with that. Okay.